Imagine a people who have wandered for over 1,000 years, yet never lost their identity. The Hakka people, often called the Jews of Asia, represent one of history's most remarkable stories of migration and resilience. Their journey spans continents and centuries, shaping cultures wherever they settled. The term Hakka literally means guest families or guest people in Chinese. This name itself tells their story. They were perpetual newcomers, always arriving in new lands. Unlike other Chinese ethnic groups, the Hakka identity isn't defined by a specific region, but by their shared history of movement. Their story begins in ancient northern China during the turbulent times of the Jin dynasty. As nomadic invasions and political instability swept across the north, the Hakka ancestors began their first great migration southward. This was just the beginning of an epic journey that would last centuries. The first major migration occurred between the 4th and 9th centuries as the Hakka moved from the Yellow River Basin to the Yangtze River region. They weren't just fleeing conflict, they were seeking stability and opportunity. This movement established their pattern of settling in mountainous, less populated areas. The second migration, during the Song dynasty, saw them push further south into Fujian, Guangdong, and Jiangxi provinces. Here, they encountered established communities who viewed them with suspicion. The Hakka developed their famous Chalu, fortress-like communal homes that provided both defense and community cohesion. Why Jews of Asia? The comparison emerged from striking parallels. Both peoples maintained distinct identities through centuries of diaspora. Both developed strong cultural traditions and business acumen. Both faced persecution, yet preserved their language and customs against all odds. The third migration, during the Ming and Qing dynasties, was driven by population pressure and conflict with local communities. Hakkapunti wars erupted as competition for resources intensified. These conflicts forced the Hakka to become even more self-reliant and tightly knit as a community. Hakka language, or Kejiahua, became a crucial marker of identity. Unlike other Chinese dialects that evolved in place, Hakka preserved ancient Northern Chinese pronunciations. Speaking Hakka meant you belonged to this wandering tribe, no matter where you were born. Women in Hakka society played unusually strong roles. With men often away or lost to conflict, Hakka women managed households, farms, and businesses. Their bound feet were uncommon, they needed to work. This created a tradition of resilient, capable Hakka women that continues today. The fourth migration in the 19th century took the Hakka overseas. Political turmoil, poverty, and opportunities in Southeast Asia sparked this diaspora. They became the Chinese of the Nanyang, establishing communities in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and beyond. In Southeast Asia, Hakka entrepreneurs thrived. From tin mining in Malaysia to banking in Singapore, their business success reinforced the Jews of Asia comparison. Yet they maintained cultural ties, building Hakka associations and temples that preserved their identity abroad. The Taiping Rebellion, led by the Hakka Hong Ziyuquan, demonstrated their revolutionary spirit. This massive 19th century uprising nearly toppled the Qing dynasty. Though it failed, it showed how Hakka marginalization could fuel radical change, a pattern seen throughout their history. Fifth migration to Taiwan. After 1949, many Hakka followed the nationalists to Taiwan, adding another chapter to their migratory story. Today, Taiwan has one of the largest Hakka populations outside mainland China, with vibrant cultural preservation efforts. Hakka architecture tells their story in clay and wood. The Chalu aren't just homes, they're fortresses, communities, and statements of identity. Some house hundreds of families in circular structures designed for defense and social cohesion, reflecting their history of needing protection. Food also reveals Hakka adaptability. Their cuisine uses preserved ingredients, salted vegetables, dried meats, perfect for people always on the move. Dislike of waste became culinary creativity. Hakka food is hearty, practical, and deeply connected to their migratory experience. Music and storytelling preserved history. Hakka mountain songs, or shanj, carried news, history, and emotions across generations. These songs mapped their journeys, lamented losses, and celebrated survival oral history set to melody. The 20th century brought new challenges and opportunities. Hakka served prominently in Sun Yat-sen's revolutionary government and later in communist leadership. Their experience with marginalization made many Hakka sympathetic to revolutionary causes that promised equality. Deng Xiaoping, architect of China's economic reforms, was of Hakka ancestry. Some scholars see his pragmatic, adaptive policies as reflecting Hakka cultural traits. Whether true or not, his leadership marked a turning point where Hakka influence reached the highest levels of power. Global diaspora continues today. From Southeast Asia to Europe, North America to Australia, Hakka maintain global networks. International Hakka conferences draw thousands, showing how migration created not dispersion, but a worldwide web of connected communities. Identity questions persist. Are Hakka an ethnic group, a cultural group, or something else? Chinese government classification calls them a subgroup of Han Chinese, but many Hakka feel distinct. This ambiguity reflects their unique position, forever between categories. Language preservation battles continue. With Mandarin dominant in education and media, Hakka language faces decline. Yet revitalization efforts grow. Language classes, media programming, and youth initiatives fight to keep this key identity marker alive. Tourism both preserves and transforms. Hakka Chalu are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites, bringing visitors and income. But commercialization risks turning living communities into museums. The challenge, preserving culture without freezing it in time. Hakka in popular culture appears in films, literature, and music. Their story resonates with universal themes of displacement and belonging. From historical dramas to modern novels, the Hakka experience inspires artists exploring identity in a mobile world. Comparisons with Jewish experience remain debated. Similarities in diaspora, persecution, and cultural preservation are clear. But differences matter too. The Hakka never had a religious unity like Judaism. The comparison illuminates both peoples while respecting their distinct histories. What does home mean for a people always moving? Hakka answer: home is where your community gathers, where your language is spoken, where traditions are maintained. Not a fixed place, but a portable culture carried through generations of wandering. Modern Hakka activism grows. From language rights to cultural funding, Hakka organizations advocate for recognition and resources. In Taiwan especially, Hakka political identity has become significant, showing how ancient identity adapts to modern politics. Intermarriage and assimilation challenge identity. As Hakka marry non-Hakka, what happens to cultural transmission? Some families maintain traditions diligently, others see gradual loss. This tension between preservation and integration defines modern Hakka experience worldwide. Academic research on Hakka history has exploded recently. Genetic studies, linguistic analysis, and historical archaeology reveal new insights. We now understand their migrations more precisely, though mysteries remain about their earliest origins and specific roots. Hakka impact on world history is often overlooked. As migrants, they carried ideas, technologies, and genes across Asia. They helped develop Southeast Asian economies, influenced Chinese politics, and created cultural bridges between communities. Their story is global history. The future of Hakka identity faces questions. Will globalization erase distinct cultures or create new forms of preservation? Digital connections allow diaspora Hakka to maintain ties impossible for their ancestors. The story continues to evolve. Lessons from Hakka history resonate today. In an era of mass migration, their story shows how cultures survive displacement. Their resilience, adaptability, and community cohesion offer insights for all peoples navigating change and seeking to preserve identity. The Jews of Asia comparison ultimately highlights a profound human truth. Some identities are forged not in place, but in movement. The Hakka prove that home can be carried within, that community can transcend geography, and that culture can flourish even in constant migration. From ancient northern China to global diaspora today, the Hakka journey continues. Their story isn't just Chinese history, it's human history. It reminds us that migration shapes civilizations, that resilience defines cultures, and that identity can be both ancient and endlessly adaptable.